Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you how to create easy sci-fi rooms in Blender, export them, and then import them into Unreal Engine. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is open up Blender. I'm using 2.8. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add under Mesh, if you go to Torus Objects, I'm going to go to the Super Toroid. Now, this is, I believe you have to add your extra objects in. Let's pull that up real quick. Preferences, add-ons, enabled. Yeah, so it's add mesh extra objects. You have to enable this in order to see that option. So mesh, torus objects, super toroid. Okay. Now, when you add this in, the default settings will be different than what I have here. But what you can do is you can play with the radius. You can play with the small radius. Go ahead and look these up on the Blender website. But what I'm going to do is go for more of a cube. So if you look at the ring manipulator, this kind of controls how how round the object is. So if you want it like very round, you can do that. If you want more of a rounded square, you decide what you want. Or if you want to go more for this sort of, I would call it like a diamond shaped, you could do that even, right? So I think for a sci-fi room, I'm going to try to stick with a square, but maybe just to give it a little bit of a little rounded edge. So it kind of looks like that, right? So then what I'm going to do is the cross manipulator. This controls, if you can see it on the edge there, sort of how this part here. So you can kind of see that there's a cross there. Whoops. So if you lose that little option there, you can go to View Last Operation, and that will pull this back up. So I'm going to go, instead of being, I'm going to go for more of a look like this. Where are we going to go rounded now? We'll stick for that right there. Okay. Now, here's the interesting part. So I'm going to take this, and if you can kind of picture this as being a large room where a character is standing inside, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a wireframe. I'm going to bump up the thickness to, let's say, 3. That's actually too much. Go back down to, let's say, 1 centimeter. And you may have to adjust this for your particular settings or scaling. Yeah, I guess we could kind of go with this. We could go with this, but this isn't exactly what I'm looking for. I am looking for, let me reduce this down. Yeah, this is more what I was looking for. So what I want is sort of a frame. There we go. This is much better. Okay. So this is sort of a frame. And then if you imagine these as being panels in the room, now what we need to do, if you uncheck the replace original, so now you see that we have this sort of paneled look where each of the individual items are, the frame is sticking out now from the panel section. You can even increase the offset. So this controls like how offset those tubes are, and you can mess with that. You can increase this a lot more if you would like, and then they actually stick out. That's too much for me, right? So, well, we could do that. Well, why not? You know what? We're just playing around today, so let me go ahead and just do this. So now we have both options. And also what I want to do is you can mess with the material offset here. So I'm going to create two materials real quick. And the first one I'm going to call the body. So these would be the panels on the inside, right? The next one I'm going to call the frame. So these are the tubes around the outside. Okay. So these should be material index 0, material index 1. So if I go back to our wireframe modifier, you can increase, whoops, that's not what I wanted. You can set the material offset to 1. So what this should do is the tubes will have a material of 1 and the panels will have a material of 0. So let's go ahead and apply this. Boundary, all that. I'm going to go ahead and apply, and then let's look at our model that we have here. I'm going to do select all, frame selected. Okay. So now here's our model. And if I go to, so if I go to the materials, so if I choose body and hit select, it's everything on the inside, right? That's what we wanted. And then if I go to frame, it's everything on the outside, right? And that is perfect. That's exactly what we want, because then inside Unreal Engine, we can have two different materials controlling those. So now that we have this done, what I'm going to do is just scale this up. I could have applied a bevel modifier to kind of smooth things out, but you can do that next time. But what I'm going to do is scale this up a bit. Inside Unreal Engine, we're going to scale it anyway, but just for just to make things normal. So I'm going to hit scale, and I'm going to scale it up, let's say 10 times. So you just type 0. Let me do that one more time. Scale that up 10 times. All right. So yeah, that may be a little too much. Let me scale that back down just a bit. All right. Make sure you don't have a negative scale. That'll cause you some problems. Okay, so here's our scale. I'm going to go to Object, Apply, Scale. Okay. And that looks pretty good. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to save my work. I'm going to go to the Unreal Engine plugin. If you don't have the Unreal Engine plugin for Blender, I suggest you go get it. Makes life really easy, and I'm going to show you why. So all you do is you select your object, go to the top here, say Export Recursive, scroll down. Whoops, that was a little too far. Scroll down here, and I'm going to give this a name. So I'm going to call this Sci Room. Okay. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to set the scale. So if you do not set the scale properly, you will end up with a gigantic mesh within Unreal Engine. So I'm going to set the global scale to 0.01. I'm going to change the forward axis to X, the up axis to Z, positive Z. I'm going to hit export to Unreal, and it exported the asset out onto my local drive here as an FBX. Let me go ahead and save this. I'm going to fire up Unreal Engine. All right, so now that I have Unreal Engine open, I'm going to drag my FBX that I exported down into Unreal, I'm going to just use all the defaults, say import all. Okay, so if we look at this now, here is our mesh. Looks pretty cool. And so now all I need to do is drag this into our scene. Let me go ahead and create a new default level just to show you. All right. What I'm going to do is, here's a default level. I'm going to grab our mesh, drag it in here. I'm going to go ahead and scale that up just a tad. Looks pretty good. Raise it up just a little bit. We're not in the floor. Okay. So now this looks pretty nice. You know, obviously the floor here is not exactly scaled properly. I'll make that a little bigger. So now all we need to do, so let's go back to our mesh. And we are going to create a material. So you can create your own material. You know, I'm not going to go into the whole material creation, but rather than create it, let's just assign our material. So I think for the panel, I'm just going to assign steel. This is actually the tube around it. So not the panel, but you can see the frame right here. And let's say for the inside panel, we will just do chrome, let's say. Stick with our sci-fi theme. So there you have it, everybody. We now have our, let me go back to our scene. So this is our sci-fi room. Obviously you can improve the, you're getting a lot of reflection from the chrome. But if you're trying to create like a sci-fi asset, some sort of room or hallway, this is a super easy way to do it. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe. Take care, have a great day and a safe day. Thanks.